Welcome to the People Chronicles. I'm Jackie Hoffman, and the People Chronicles is a platform for all of you, no matter who you are, to have a voice and tell your story. Since all of us have a story to tell, we are joined with Bob Capone today. Bob, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.
It's so nice to have you here. And our question that we ask everyone is, what would you like others to hear from your story and learn from your story today?
I think the biggest thing is throughout any adversity, never give up hope.
To never give up hope. And you're sporting a T-shirt there today.
By Team Laney.
Peace, love, and hope, Team Laney. So for those people that are listening that may not know about Laney or know who Laney is, but I'm sure by now everybody knows,
Everybody knows Laney. Yeah.
If you just want to give us a little bit of a background, if you will, how old Laney was and what exactly happened, the signs that took place, or how you figured out something was wrong. If you could just take us back.
Okay, well, it was back in May, right around Memorial Day. She became very listless and, had no energy, was always tired, and they couldn't figure out what the heck was going on. And, of course, at that time, she was 7 years old, and they took her over to Reading Hospital to see if they could find something, and they did a bunch of tests, and they said they didn't like what they saw. She needs to go to Hershey. And they took her up to Hershey, and the following day they told her she had, or that evening, I should say, they told her she had leukemia. And they weren't sure what kind it was because there's two different types. There's the ALL and AML. AML is the worst one. Well, of course, that's what she had. And then on top of that, she had this, it's called monosomy 7. And it is one of the rarest forms of AML leukemia. 10 children a year are diagnosed with this. And the survival rate is not good. And so the doctors, they aggressively started treating her. And it was a roller coaster ride the entire time. One day she'd be doing great, and the next day her counts would be blown back up again. It was just, everybody was just battling their heads against the wall and trying to figure out what was going on. And Dr. Greiner, he was incredible.
Is he from the Hershey area?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the main doctor up there for the leukemia. And he tried everything he possibly could, to heal this little girl. In fact, I still say he pulled her in as a surrogate daughter. She, he really became that fond of her. And everybody did. And I'll apologize right now. I probably get a little emotional.
And there's no reason to apologize for that. That's quite all right. We understand completely. As her grandfather and the family members and community that had surrounded Laney once they found out what was going on, I don't think that people could quite understand, the people that were kind of being her cheerleaders, what was going on as far as you explained the roller coaster of, one day, hey, we've got some good news. And then,
the next day,
you have some setbacks. And, as being a family member, you watched what was going on. And of course, Laney has siblings and they had to sit back and kind of take a back seat to what was going on with their sister and try and, wrap their little hearts around what was going on too.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So you're in, Laney is in Hershey, and does she come home in between that time, or is she there for certain periods of time? How did that work?
She was only out of the hospital 9 days out of 183, I believe. The rest of the time she was hospital bound.
And I had asked you how you felt about being Laney's voice during this interview because, it just seemed to me from the outside looking in that she was such a strong and brave young lady. And she knew what she was going through. She knew what she was up against.
Yep.
Where do you think that came from for Laney? How do you think, that she was able to understand at such a young age?
Well, I can explain it in 4 easy words, but I'll give you the story behind it. And if you were on the Laney's page, you've read it. she my daughter got some bad news, and she was out in the hall crying. Laney walked over, grabbed the frog, took it out in the hall, handed it to her mom, and said, "Fully rely on God."
It's an amazing story.
That's where her strength came from God. I mean, she was stronger through this than any of us were.
And that was
and we grew our strength from her. I mean, she's the sick one, and we're drawing our strength from her. It was just totally amazing. And that's what made her so unique.
And how was she around the other children that were receiving treatments? Was she pretty much the same way?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. There was a little girl, Devani, up there. She was diagnosed the same day. She had ALL leukemia. Yeah, she had ALL. And anyhow, Jennifer got talking to Devani's mom, and she said that, she's seen Delaney's room, and Delaney's room was, just covered with cards and, wishes and animals and everything. It was great. And so Devani's mom said that, all she had was a little handwritten thing on a piece of 8.5 by 11-inch paper that she hung on the wall. So Delaney says to her mom, she says, "We have plenty of stuff. Let's give her some." So we went back to the room, and Delaney opened up her thing, and she says, "Here, we'll give her this, we'll give her this, we'll give her this, we'll give her this." She piled all this stuff on the bed. And then over the next couple hours, her and her mom, Jennifer and Delaney, they went and made all this stuff for Devani. And when they were all done, they walked down to the hall, knocked on the door, and and glittered up her room. I mean, that's, here's this little kid fighting for her life, and she's worried about other people. It's just amazing. Totally amazes me.
And you started off the story today by saying and trying to let people know that you should never lose hope. And, the fact that Laney is doing things for other people at such a young age, and she's teaching people what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to act and what you're supposed to feel. And as an adult, sometimes, we think that we're having a bad day. And here's this little girl that, is 7 years old and is living life like an adult and the way an adult should be living.
Yep, so exactly.
But where do you think that we already talked about, the story about the frog, the inner strength that she had received, but she had to have learned it from, whether it was a family member or friends surrounding her, or was she always just that light that seemed to have that gift?
Her grandmom Cheryl is very religious, and her dad's very religious, and I believe they have a huge impact on her life. They all belong to the Seventh-day Adventist Church, and she went out there and went for Sunday school and everything, and I really believe that's where it all came from. It was basically through the family, and I've got a good Christian background also, and everybody in the family is Christian, and we all believe in God, and it's just something that she came to know and love. And she loved Jesus. I mean, there's just no questions about it. I mean, this is who she was, and that's where, like I said, a lot of her strength came from that.
And you certainly have to have a lot of faith to understand what it is that's going on, and you don't want to ask the questions why, but then sometimes it's hard to not ask the question, why me, why Laney, why our family?
Yeah, well, they always say God doesn't give you any more than what you can handle. Maybe he figured we could handle this. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what her legacy is going to be, but I'm sure there's something coming down the road, and I can tell you that, but I can't give you any details on it. But she's not going to be forgotten.
No.
That's for sure.
Absolutely not. And the really cool thing about the first segment of this is that we're talking about the life of Laney, which is so very important. And next, when we come back after a short break, I want to talk to you a little bit about the community and how they helped you and they helped the family, and, you know, how one little girl actually changed not just this community, but the world. It was pretty amazing.
Absolutely.
So we're going to take a short break. We're with Bob Capone. I'm Jackie Hoffman, and these are the People Chronicles.